Now, would you ever watch a council meeting via the internet? Do you feel this is something which has been missing from your life? Well, very soon you'll be able to. So breathe easy, as it was voted at Tuesday's full council meeting that certain meetings will be streamed online in the future. So what are the benefits of these films and who will be interested? Well, joining me in the studio is Ian Manning, the Cambridgeshire County Councillor, who backed the idea. A morning to you, Ian.
Good morning.
And we also have Richard Taylor, who's been filming various councils at their meetings on the phone. Morning to you, Richard.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Would it be safe to say you've been spearheading this, Richard?
Well, I have. I've been doing it myself for some time. I've been filming all sorts of meetings at Cambridge City Council, the Police and Crime Panel, the Clinical Commissioning Group, and it's great to see that the county councillors have noticed what I've been doing. In particular, they noticed I've been live streaming the last couple of meetings of Cambridge City Council, and they decided that they should be doing it themselves, and that's what the majority of councillors voted for on Tuesday.
You say they noticed. Does that mean they weren't aware that you were streaming live on the internet?
Well, I think some councillors obviously were not aware of what's possible. Councillor Gillick, one of the UKIP councillors, he didn't think it would be possible to film Cambridgeshire County Council without 4 cameras, professional camera operators, lights, and he said that the councillors would need makeup. But I've proven him wrong by filming his speech where he said those things and putting it on my website, and he's perfectly clear, and you can see what he's saying.
And he's a member of Equity, am I right in thinking that? So...
Yes, I'm not quite sure where his remarks went from being serious into being a joke, but he did mention that he's a member of the Actors Union Equity, and he wouldn't be allowed to appear on camera without getting paid. But we've got to take him seriously. The people of Waldersley, just southwest of Wisbech, they've elected him as their representative, so we have to listen to him, and he was actually listened to very politely by all the other councillors there. But in this case, he's demonstrably wrong.
Why is it important, Ian, that we see our councillors?
Well, I think actually it's important because of the sort of comments Councillor Gillick makes. I mean, I don't think any amount of makeup would help me, actually, quite frankly. But
I'd beg to differ, but go on.
That's very kind. But when you've got someone standing up in a council chamber who, like Richard said, is representing a huge amount of people who's supposed to be helping them out, who denies something that's actually happening in front of him, I think the electorate need to know that. And I mean, actually, this isn't really about sort of, I don't really think that loads of people are going to tune into this or not on a regular basis, like gripped to their seats. What this is about is often a really big issue will come to a council meeting that affects a small proportion of people. The last one I can think of was the Cromwell Museum closure. And people there really want to know not just what the result was, but what people are actually saying. And for those groups of people, when a really important issue to them comes, I think them being able to see who is saying what, especially in a council where we've got 5 political groups now, it's really important to know who's standing for what.
You say you don't think loads will be watching online. I think that's probably a fair assumption. I watched the edited film that Richard put together. It looked like half the people there didn't really want to be there themselves. So who, if anybody, is going to watch these?
Well, again, it's people who care about a particular issue that's coming. And the other really important bit about this is, Councillor Count made a good point, which is that sometimes people do, for good reasons, think that politicians do absolutely nothing or aren't doing good things. This will allow them to judge objectively. And I made the point in the debate that when it was election coming up, I had an opposition candidate make put a letter out in my area claiming a bunch of things that weren't true, and I was able to not just put a letter out saying, these are the actual facts as I see them, but if you don't trust me, go to this authoritative source, and it was a video that Richard took, and watch what actually happened for yourself. And a load of people, surprisingly, wrote to me saying, thank you very much, and specifically said they'd watched the video.
Will it change the nature of what happens if if councillors know they're being watched?
I hope so. I hope we will get less ridiculous statements. I hope we'll get less of the Councillor Gillicks and people like that.
I don't want to bully him. There's other examples. So, yeah.
But less of councillors standing up and saying one thing in the council chamber and voting one way, because the other part of this motion was to publish councillors' votes, so the residents can see when they come to an election, they can see which way their councillors voted on issues that are important to them. I hope it will over time cut down and cut down on poor performance by councillors and lack of taking part in the debates, but also give residents a much easier way of telling which way they should vote.
And Richard, why is it important for you to do this? If not many people will actually watch it, is it worth the effort?
Well,
on
I've
your part?
actually seen when councillors have held a vote, when they've held it just by putting their hands up, I've seen the vote then change. The result of the vote has changed when it has been a recorded vote and councillors know that they're going to be held to account for what they've done. So I do think this will actually potentially change some decisions as well as changing the tone of debate.
Is that necessarily a good thing if it's going against what they deem as being the right move and they've been elected to make that decision?
Well, they've got to be held accountable, but you can't. I don't think a bunch of councillors did actually vote against having their voting records published on the county council website, and I think we should be able to see how our councillors have voted on our behalf, and they should be able to defend those votes. And about the numbers, like many more people are watching the videos that I'm making than are present in person at the meetings that I'm filming, and it helps. All sorts of people, like campaign groups, people who write newsletters, or professional journalists. It helps them find out what's happened at meetings, and so it's one route to getting it out to a wider audience, even if very large numbers of people don't directly watch the videos.
Just quickly, Ian.
You think it's? I mean, you asked if it's a good thing. Yes, I do think it's a good thing, because people often complain about the element of party politics, and when we have a new council with 5 political groups, I think being able to getting people to vote with their conscience rather than necessarily on a party line that they don't believe in, I think that's really important, actually.
Great stuff. Ian and Richard, thank you so much for your endeavours and for your presence this morning. Councillor Ian Manning, and also we heard there from Richard Taylor, who is a civic-minded individual, shall we say. And good that he is too. Still to come in the final hour, more people than usual will be wearing hats today. But why? Find out after the news next.
A passion for Cambridgeshire. FM, online, on DAB. This is BBC Radio Cambridgeshire.